Carolina Hurricanes head coach Rod Brind'Amour joining us now on the Easter Automotive Group Hotline. You're going to be the head coach for a little while longer. Congratulations on the new contract extension.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, it was important to get that finally out of the way. It took forever, but this is where I need to be.
Are you surprised it spilled out into the national media consciousness while the playoffs were going on?
Well, nowadays nothing surprises me when it comes to that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it seems like good or bad, everybody wants more bad. Everybody wants to report stuff and throw things out there. But I don't think it ever really got to that level. But there was a few little heated moments on this whole thing. And,
Okay.
But end of the day, we're here.
You said it in the press conference just now, in that you don't want to be you don't want to go.
Yeah.
So that kind of puts you in an interesting position when it comes to what you're trying to accomplish and what you're trying to do for yourself. And I got to understand the front office understands that too. So how did that kind of factor in?
Well, at the end of the day, I never even got into coaching because I loved it. You know, like it was. So I never thought I'd be coaching, and then I got into it, and and it sounds silly, but it's because of the guys I'm around.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting there thinking, okay, well, I mean, I'm a coach now. I've been doing this for a while, so that's kind of how I'm seen. And I have opportunity. I could go and coach somewhere else, but that doesn't even, like, that's not what I'm about. Like, I'm about being here with these guys, and I'm going to run this out as long as I can.
Yeah.
I really feel like that's how it was from day one when I took the job, was whenever it ended, I'd be doing something else, but it wouldn't be in another organization. It wouldn't be coaching somewhere else. And thankfully, we didn't have to get to where I think a situation would have been, that might have been enticing, if you know what I mean. So we were able to head that off.
What was that process like? Do you handle that, or you have your agent handle that?
I don't have an agent.
That's why I thought you were a Roy Williams type.
Donnie and I worked this out in September. That's why.
Okay.
That's why I was like, we're good. But it never really got. There was little things that were important. Number one, not so little, but my staff, they had to get their stuff together, and that seemed to take a little while. And then when everything kind of got together, we had a little hiccup at the end, and that's when people caught wind of it and kind of made it a little bigger than it was. And it actually probably helped, though, in a way, because then all of a sudden we took care of it. So, sometimes it works in your favor when stuff gets out, I guess. I don't know.
And also, those people, you'd miss us. You're so used to us by now.
I'd miss all you guys.
Right. You're so used to us now. I mean, come on. In Toronto, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
I think you gave it away in the press conference. Like, first of all, you're crazy competitive, right? So there's only so much golf that you could play. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could play golf the rest of my life. There's only so much golf that you could play and be satiated with that.
I realized I don't even like golf, but it's just I like who I golf with.
Sure.
And it's an excuse to get together with guys for 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever it takes. It's not really the game. Like, cause I'm can't say that word.
You can. It's a podcast. You're fine.
I'm no good at it. So
right. But when you said it's about what I was interpreting was it's about the pursuit. It's about kind of solving the problem now here.
Yeah.
Like you said, as a player, people forget. You went with the Flyers. You went and then again in 2002. And then it was the third time that you get there.
And I look back on that and I say at the time, if you could only win one, it was much better to win it near the end, because it kept you hungry. Now, I was still hungry after to try to win again, but I think, like, I look now, if we were to win, I don't know how hungry I'd be to continue this. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think it'd be time to say, okay, I'm
going to go Coach Brooks.
Go do something else, but I can't yet.
Yeah.
Right.
That's where I'm at.
And that's where the competitive part comes. That's where the problem solver part comes in too.
And the problem, because I might be here till I'm 100. Like, I hope not.
So about that, I think I'm convinced that football has warped all of our brains and how we talk about every other sport. Okay, so you enter this postseason, it kind of ends in a similar fashion, sooner than you wanted to, obviously. So I think you referenced it. There was a lot of things that were out there that you picked up, but that just weren't true. And the whole staff is coming back. And the thought is, well, if these things aren't working, why don't you make a change in the staff?
What's not working?
Well,
That's what I'm asking you. Power play was, but okay, for 4 games.
Okay, let me put it like this then.
So let's look at it that way. Our priority coming in this year was get the power play in the top.
Yeah.
And it ended up in the top. I think we were actually second. Someone said you were second. I didn't even look at it. We were second in the league for 82 games.
Yeah.
So that tells me we're doing it right. Now,
so I'm going to put this in two ways. I'm going to put this in two ways. The first one is why you're retaining the staff and how it's different than, say, we're going to get a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Football is the same. It's like, this thing isn't working. Well, we're going to get a new offensive coordinator. Hockey is different that way. How?
I don't know. I mean, the only thing I could relate it to is we have more, because we have more games. Like, I just feel like there's more data to prove that you're doing it right than wrong.
Okay.
If it's 1 or 2 games in football, that's 20% of your season. But you know what I mean? Like 1 or 2 games in hockey is it really that bad? Did you get your chances and just didn't go on that power play? And then you went 0 for 4 and everyone goes, wow, this is terrible. But wait a minute. What if you had scored on that one? Did you hit the post there? You had 3 chances. You had 2 grade A's. Oh, it's because you gave up a shorty. Everyone says your power play sucks. Yeah, but we had 2 2-on-1s on their power play and didn't score. What if we had scored? You take a step back and go, wait a minute. And we didn't execute on that. Okay, but does that mean that power play guys are no good? Does that mean the way your structure is no good, or just the other team did a nice job that penalty kill? You know, whatever. You need a little more. There needs to be a little more data. There needs a little more time. And so I'm looking at the big picture, and yeah, that was an area that hurt us in the start of the series. Is that what cost us the series? I don't know. I look at we fought our way back into it, and I didn't like the last couple goals. You know, like let's call it how it is. Freddie got to stop that one.
Yeah,
can't let that one in. That's the game. Now we win that game. What happens? You know, so we fought our way back in. So what did we do right to fight our way back in? You know, I'm looking at both ways
your way
on it. What's that?
You played your way.
Yeah.
Second period of the game you lost, I was like, well, this is it. This is how they play.
You got to remember, the other team is.
Yeah.
There are good teams in this league.
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Everyone's like, oh, you lost. That was the best team in the league. We tried to chase them down. We couldn't play any better the last 4 months of the season, and we couldn't catch them. And that, I mean, we tried. So
you were 4th in the power play during the regular season. The teams in front of you, Tampa, Edmonton, Rangers. That's where I would say the evaluation process comes in, right? Tampa. Obviously, the skill players that they have, you've run into before. The Oilers have the best player in the world.
2 of them.
The Rangers have
3 of them.
Rangers have a super high-end skill. Okay. So you may not want to hear this, but it's a little bit. It's to your credit that your team is there as high as it is without a Connor McDavid, without a Zibanejad.
That's what I say.
You know, so
we're doing a damn good job, and our guys that we had in there did a damn good job.
Yeah.
Now, for those 4 games, they sucked, and we know it. And I take blame for that too. We didn't execute what we should have been doing, right? But overall, I'd have to say, we shouldn't be in that group.
Yeah.
Right, based on your personnel,
group. Right?
Based
but
on the overall.
We do it differently. We don't have one of those guys. We don't have the guys you just mentioned.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Yeah,
we can still be successul doing it differently.
It's slightly fascinating to me. It's a bit of a philosophical question, right? You have everyone's dream of we're all, as Joe says, football has made us. I want to play fantasy football. I could do this. I could be the GM. I could put a team together. And the strategy that you guys kind of have is your team is good 1 through 20, 1 through 23. Your team is good, but the top is not McDavid.
Right.
The top is not,
and you can't do anything about that.
And that's where do you find those guys? Right?
Well, what
you got to draft them. There's only so many of them.
Right. You got to draft them, and you got to get them at the top of the board. Right. And Svech is one of those guys that you got at the top of the board.
And we need him to get to that level.
Yeah. So no, he's coming. He's coming. But it's that's what I was going to ask you. Is it a skill question or is it an older question? Because I looked at what Chris Kreider was making and I cried. When I realized he was making $5 million a year, I cried. I was like, "Here's the guy." Because in my opinion, he was the difference in the third period of that game.
Yeah, big, heavy.
Yeah,
he's our Svech, and he got.
But he's a 50-goal scorer too. Yeah. You know, he's done it.
Yeah.
As you know,
I did know. That's tips.
It's hard.
In front. And, I don't know what to tell you. I think.
Well, I guess what I'm getting at is it just a matter of getting a little bit older, or is this type of offseason where you can build around your core, and there seems to be a little bit more flexibility this offseason than in years past, where it was like
that's Tom.
You had to thread a needle.
That's our owner's thinking like what you just said. That's what he thinks. I go the other way, and I'm like, God, I'd like to have another run at with these guys.
Yeah.
You know, can we figure out how to keep them all? Because I've been on teams. I go back to when I played with the Flyers. We went to the finals, and we got swept by Detroit.
They were
Swept,
pretty good.
whatever. They were good, but it wasn't like, okay, they were a little bit better, but they were the best by a mile in the league, right? So we're young guys, but what did we do? We blew it up in Philadelphia. Oh, we're so far away, but were we?
Yeah.
Like we had Lindros, myself. We have all these.
LeClaire.
Yeah, we were just starting to, I think, get our stride, and we got it shoved in our face. Like, you want to come back with those guys that know what it feels like to get shoved in your face. Now we blow it up, and you bring in a bunch of new guys, that high-end guys, big names, and it goes totally the other way because they hadn't been through these times together. And so I err on that thinking versus what you're saying, which is, we got all this opportunity, we can bring in something else. I don't know.
It's weird. I was partially joking about you'd miss us, but there's an element of the fact that, you know, Joe and I covered that 02 Cup run. We were here in 06. We saw 09. We've seen how you've had the success in the postseason, and then you missed the playoffs in between those times. There's the 10 years before you took over.
There's never been this sustained.
And that's what I was getting at.
Success.
It's a weird dynamic, having been around the organization for a long time, in that there's a frustration almost in that you've been to the playoffs 6 years in a row. The first couple of years it was, oh my goodness, it's playoff time. I mean, 2019 with a bunch of jerks was its own special time. But then you start to build. As you said, you've had this kind of like 3-year period of the build. And there's almost a frustration level that is kind of poured over, not just in the fan base, but I guess even within the organization, of what's keeping you from taking that next step. The regular season success that you have built, we've never seen with the Hurricanes ever.
Yeah.
But then there's the balance of the postseason and why you're building towards that. So how do you kind of reconcile what you've done and then getting over the hump?
Well, over the hump is now become winning it.
Yeah.
So that's hard. I mean,
yeah.
So I look at it like, that's our goal, obviously. We're not going to stop until we get to that point, and then I'll reconsider all bets at that point. But I look at it, what more can we get out of that group?
Okay.
That's what I'm asking. I ask the guys, what more can we get any more out of you guys? And I don't know that I could. Like, I don't know that there's more to get out of them. Can we be better? 100%. We can be a little bit better, but they're giving us all we can. So that, to me, every time we run into last year Florida, I couldn't ask any more out of those guys. Yeah. I don't know that we could have played any better. I'm looking at that, like, their goalie had a .960 save percentage in that series. Our goalie actually played, I think, a .930, right? Like, we held Florida to 20 shots a game per the 60 minute. The one game went 3 games. You take that out, it was 20. Like, we're doing everything we can. We're getting the chances. We didn't score. Okay, I can't do anything about that. Like, I feel like we're right there. This one, again, we didn't lose to the Islanders.
Right.
We lost to a team that, if you went into that series, you'd say, this is a coin toss. And I think if you watched every game, there was 50. Like, we could have won any of those games, just like they could. I mean, we're right. So I don't want to, like, I guess we get so frustrated with how to look at our group and you're not winning.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it like we are right there.
Yeah.
Like, clearly, like, who's better than us? These guys that you could say, oh, you lost in the second round. That's what everyone's saying. But I don't know. Even if I go back further and we lost to Boston, that was the best team in the league. And we lost to Tampa. That was the best team in the league at the time. They were right there. And, you know, we got Vasilevsky. You know, we got, like, I think we're getting the most out of the group we have. Like, I'm not looking at going, wow, we didn't, you know, that wasn't good. I don't know what else, I guess, to tell you what to say about it. I'm proud of the way we've played and gone at it. I'm not happy with the end result.
Yeah.
Nobody is. But at the end of the day, you can only ask you to give me your best and do what you can. And I think we're getting the most out of our group.
I guess as we wrap things up here.
Well, you're already animated, so I might as well just get it out there because we support you like 99%. There's a 1% though that I have to ask him, maybe because he was hurt. Why did you break up Jarvis and Gensel and
Too late.
Fishy?
too late.
Okay.
They were just getting crushed.
Light. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They were getting
Okay.
crushed. But it wasn't sustainable. You could see it clearly. So I had to move Svesh down there to get a little meat.
Okay.
And then Jarvis can kind of play anywhere. And I think it actually, you move him up with Jordo. Jordo's a puck possession beast.
Yeah.
So the theory behind it is now you're going to get Jarvis more opportunities. You're going to, you know what I mean? That kind of mentality. And, regular season, that line works that you mentioned. Mm-hmm. It's a little less physical.
Yeah.
I think when the playoffs, it just got to be obvious that they weren't as effective.
As we find out, Jarvis was nursing a whole bunch
Yeah.
of stuff for the majority.
That negotiation feels like your negotiation.
Yeah.
Don's up there, effusive in
Yeah.
Everybody, everybody wants to be paid. I'll just leave it at that.
yeah.
Unfortunately.
And that's the thing. I guess we could close on that, right? Everybody wants to get paid. You've been part of teams with the Canes where some guys made those decisions to go elsewhere, even though you kept a good chunk of the group. So do you have conversations with these guys
yeah. Yeah, all the time.
about that kind of
All
stuff?
the time.
Even your own experience and the guys that you've
Yep.
known who have gone elsewhere.
Yep.
How does that conversation go?
Wow. I mean, I don't really want to tell you all that, but I tell you that it's going to be tough. I just went through it. It's not, you'd think these would be easy to go, we love you, No.
No.
I'm telling you, it's not going to be like that. There's a business side of it, and when Business Tom comes out, it's going to be, this is what we're trying to do.
We know the business side of things all too well,
And
Rod.
so just, you got to be aware to it. And I think guys all understand it. The good news, they all want to stay, but there's a price. And, I always tell the guys, and I'll tell you, like, there's a price to leave. Teams will have to pay you. We can't pay that price, right? Because
Trocheck.
if we offer you X and they offer X, we get you all the time.
Right.
They have to offer you Y. We can't pay you Y, even though you're worth it, because someone will pay you. That doesn't work. It won't work. Can't sustain this group. So you have to give us the X price. And then, no, you could have got Y somewhere else. And if that difference is too much, then we shake hands and we move on. But no hard feelings. But that's kind of how you can't expect Y when you're worth X, if that makes sense, because we'll have no team.
We're definitely Z's. So.
Yeah, right. And I'm an A. So there you go.
Rod, we appreciate the time
All
as
right.
always.
You got it, guys.